Justice League issue 5, and this is James Tynion the fourth writing with Doug Mankey on the art. This is the first of the Legion of Doom issues, where every 4 or 5 issues we're going to get a Legion of Doom issue that follows Lex recruiting the other members. We get him to he recruits specifically in this one. We see him recruiting Sinestro and Gorilla Grodd. I assume the next one will have another couple of them, and so on.
I have the feeling the next one will be Manta and Cheetah, because I feel like aren't we getting Wonder Woman and Aquaman next?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And it's one of the interesting things about this issue actually is the idea that, because we've been saying how each of the forces that he's unlocking with the doorknob and stuff, that they all relate to one member of the Justice League. But this issue pointed out they all specifically relate to one of the villains as well. The idea that he needs Sinestro to control the ultraviolet spectrum. He needs Grodd to control the Still Force. So I immediately I sat forward in my chair and went, what's the Joker going to control? Like, I got worried.
Well, and it always seems to be the opposite of whatever that hero represents. Yep. So I have no idea what it could be for Batman, whatever that force is. So, yeah. Weird.
I don't know. But I said, I got intrigued. I'm interested.
Yeah. What I like is that I had a lot of people like, I don't know if they were just casual fans that hit Twitter going, why isn't Snyder writing Justice League when we all knew? Because we stay up to date with all this stuff.
Yeah, I mean...
And he had to put out a post going, no, I'm not going. This was always the plan. So I was just like, guys, can we not freak out? Like,
he was talking this week, presumably in response to that he's got at least 50 issues planned. And I assume they count these, these issues that aren't him. Yeah, it'll be up to issue 50, but that was at least, so it could be further.
Also, I don't think these Legion of Doom issues will run until issue 50 or so. Like, I feel like this is just for the first few arcs.
First arc, yeah. Well, not arc, but the first story.
Like, I feel like the first 3 or 4 arcs will have one of these each, and then after that they'll probably go away.
I will say on that point, I think it's kind of a weird place in the arc. I know that they make reference to where we left off at the last cliffhanger, but I feel like this would be better suited between arcs more directly rather than in the middle of an arc.
I like this because it sets up. No, we've had the ultraviolet core. How did Lex find out about that? And we've seen the Still Force. Yeah, how did Lex? I
have to outright disagree. I would not have liked this at the end of the arc. I feel like telling me how Sinestro and Grodd got involved after we've dealt with whatever they're doing in the arc, I think would have felt redundant to me at that point. I feel like here it's more of a tease of where we're going with that stuff. I think that would have been a much more tedious read had we already finished the arc. Where that was the main
to me, it's not about this is what they've dealt with already. If it was at the end of the arc, this is about how did the team come together? Why did Luthor pick these people? Yeah. So even if we've dealt with the ultraviolet and the Still Force, and then we get this issue, that doesn't bother me because it's not about that. It's about what.
Well, it's about both. I mean, it would make it lesser to me because part of the fun here for me is the tease of what we're going to do with these things, and it feels like it fits here quite well. If it was just the how the team formed, like it would still be fine, but I think it would be just a little bit less exciting because I feel like we'd already went through it, and so whenever we got to those scenes where it's Lex was saying, "Oh, wait, I have to get him to control this, and I have to get Grodd to control the Still Force." I feel like that moment would not have been as exciting. I would have just been like, "Oh yeah, we've already done that, whatever." So, so I mean, maybe it could have been in a better place in the arc, like in between another 2 issues, but I wouldn't have liked it at the end afterwards.
Yeah, I mean, for me here, where you're saying, "Oh yeah, we have to get them to control that." That's all past tense anyway. They are controlled. They're already doing that. Lex has already made his case. He's convinced them. We haven't seen the outcome of what they do with it, but everything that Lex is talking about, I feel we've kind of seen a lot of from them.
Sure, but because we don't know the outcome.
We've seen hints and whatnot.
Yeah, it's still teasing. Yeah. It still feels like it's a tease of what they're going to do with it. It still feels relevant right now. Whereas I think after the arc ends, I would feel like it was irrelevant at that point. I think is what I'm getting at.
Fair enough.
No, I think it's based rather well because the Still Force and the Ultraviolet are still fresh in our minds, versus if we get like a whole arc of each one of these, I just don't know. But all that said, I liked what it raised in this issue with what Tynion which I'm sure he's working from Snyder's notes and whatnot.
Oh yeah.
But the whole idea of what Doom actually represents and what it means for human nature versus justice, I feel like the Legion of Doom back with the Super Friends era was just a fun name for these bad guys. But now Snyder and Tynion have actually made it make sense. Much like the Justice League is all about maintaining justice and order in the world, the Legion of Doom is now trying to bring in their own version of order through Doom.
Yeah, I mean, like so Lex, like, he's tinkering with the mother box after everything went down, and he ends up going to the future. To I can't remember what the time span was. It may have been,
1,000,000 years.
Was it 1,000,000 years? And we get like this evil, was it Lexor City? And he's like, "What's happening? Why is everything like this way?" And we get this like Joker knockoff dude and these other dudes, and they're like, "Oh, like eventually, like humanity kept trying to find peace and justice and all that, and it kept failing over and over again until eventually we found like archaeologists found the plans of Lex Luthor, and we followed that, and now we're in this doom-filled utopia, and like this is better." And the funny thing is the thing that would have let you do this in your time was hiding under your nose the whole time. We can't tell you what it was though, because that would change history and change like time and erase us all. Right. But so they set this up, and it shows them the symbol.
On that note, I thought it was a little weird that we're like, well, we can't tell you because that'll erase it, and then we actually get a scene of them being erased and celebrating that. Oh yeah,
right.
So
and my read on that was, this is a society that has looked up to Lex Luthor, right? And Lex Luthor doesn't like just to be given things, so they're not just going to tell him what to look for. He has to all figured out. So the fact that they're getting erased means that he achieved his goal faster than he should have, and that their society will live sooner than them.
What's funny though is that by showing him the symbol, that's the only reason why he noticed it and why he went digging and said place.
Yeah.
So there's still mystery here. We still have to find out like why this place was in this building. He questions if his father, if Lionel was into this stuff, and that's where it came from, which would make sense given that's where his father, that was his place. But I mean, we'll find out, I guess. I'm curious to that. But there's lots of research and papers about all this stuff, and he starts digging into all these various powers, and we see him go to Sinestro and recruit him, see him go to Grodd and recruit him. Grodd specifically is at the UN, making everyone kill each other. He's having a delightful, chaotic time.
Here's my thing. We all know that I love the Flash. Like, he's in my top 3 heroes, right? And Grodd's fine. He's a giant gorilla that's telepathic. That's cool, too. I feel like he's a little bit too overpowered here. Like, he can just stand in the center of the UN and make everybody fight. Like, I don't know. That didn't sit well with me.
I'm okay with this. So I like a super dangerous Grodd that is terrifying because he can make everyone do this.
I think the question is, how did he get into just the UN, building? No problem, right? Without the Flash or anyone showing up to stop him.
Yeah, well, there's that, and it's just like, he's making everybody, and it's just like, well, if he's this powerful, then that's something to me that requires the entire league, not just the Flash. And I feel like versus what Sinestro was doing, that was very much, he was working with the Green Lanterns and whatnot. Like, I get that they were both trying to do different intros to them. But this was a little bit much.
Yeah, I didn't really care. I just thought it was a fun scene. But if I'm going to debate this and explain how we get in there, he mind controlled a guard to let him in, and then get inside, and there's no one outside that knows he's in there doing this shit.
Yeah,
that was my explanation for you.
That was the whole UN. Like, he could have had, he could have been in a bar making people fight each other. You know what I mean? Like, and it's the same kind of feel.
There's no power to that, is there?
No, but that's what I mean. The UN's a little bit too big. Like, to me, Grodd's too overpowered, and I feel like with Luthor, he's just kind of like, well, yeah, whatever. I'm more powerful.
I guess my response to that is I feel like Grodd should be a villain that the whole Justice League needs to take out, and that's kind of what I like about him. He's that formidable, and
but that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know, just the whole UN building trying to kill each other. That was a step too far. If it was a smaller group of them, if it was like a UN delegation.
Hey, if anything, if they want to tell me that Grodd can now do that church scene from Kingsman, like that's one of his general things that he does, I'm all for it.
Right, that's not what I'm arguing, but that church scene would have felt out of place in Kingsman because it feels too big, right?
Oh, if that had been the UN, right? Is that what you're saying?
Right. The fact that it works in Kingsman is because it's a small church that's preaching hate and whatnot. Like, yeah, I don't know.
So what you're really arguing here is that it's just too dark because we've got all these innocent UN ambassadors and whatnot.
Well, it's
no. I think it's saying like
size of it.
Politically, almost it's too big. It's like
yeah,
like the UN. That's like the center of the political world, and they're doing and he's just waltzed in and killed them all. Whereas if it was there's a UN visit to this country, and God happened to make them kill each other in a smaller building, it has a bit more. He can
still make the same point about how all these people are just his puppets, and if he wanted to, he can control the world, through stuff like this. But
I guess, I don't know. I just thought that it was a fun introduction, so I didn't really question it that much.
It's a fantastic issue, and if that's my only bone I'm picking on it, then it's a win. But yeah, he was properly menacing too when he's talking to Luthor, and how Luthor tells him that about the Still Force, basically.
Yeah.
And
so I got really excited about what the other forces that the others would use, especially Joker. Honestly, my only real complaint about this, obviously Mankey's art's very good. My only complaint about the issue is I do think it's a bit too wordy. I feel like there was just too many boxes with text on a lot of pages, which made it a little bit of a not I don't want to say a chore because it was still very good and well written, but just a little bit of a marathon.
No, I think I'm with Pete. I think here is Tynion trying to emulate Snyder's feel with all the the narration and exposition that he does, but I don't think he's quite got it down as good as Snyder has.
See, I don't mind wordy when it's like this, when it's informing the rest of the story, and it's almost like reading a novel, and we're reading about Luthor's insight. Yeah. It's when Snyder makes it feel like a textbook, and he's just throwing up all of this exposition.
Snyder can be guilty.
That's when he gets
Snyder can be guilty of this as well for me. Like that is absolutely true. Yeah. But I noticed it here, and I guess it sticks out because Tynion is not usually like this specifically.
I think like the first 4 issues have been wordy, as Snyder is wont to be. But I think this didn't have quite the same flow to it in the word. It was a lot of text, and it just didn't quite have the flow.
It was just a bit much. I would have streamlined the dialogue and the narration a bit, and just made it a bit more, just a bit more, to give it a bit more flow, I guess is what the word I'd use. But that's my real only complaint, though, to be honest. Like I always worry with these like villain focused issues. I remember when DC did the villains month for New 52, and I hated it. I felt like my entire month of comics just disappeared, and I got all these villain issues instead. And sure, there was a couple of good ones, but like it felt like a gimmick for the sake of a gimmick, right? Rather than because we actually have some important stories to tell. It's like, no. Writers of books, you will stop doing your regular story and do an issue about your villain because we demand it.
I like the ones that just made it part of the arc anyway.
Yeah.
Whereas
this, because there's a lot of mythology to explore with how Lex has got this power and where it came from, how he convinced this team to like come together. There's a small moment where he mentions the Joker made improvements to the torture chamber, and I think it's Cheetah says, or the narration is like, Cheetah didn't know what concerned her more as he tested it on himself was the blood or the laughter, and I'm just like the thought of Joker like testing his own torture equipment on himself and getting a kick out of his this is good stuff, this will really make them hurt.
I've never seen Joker as harming himself like that.
No, but I feel like that's the vibe they wanted to give the Leto Suicide Squad Joker, and then they just turned him into a Hot Topic version of that.
Oh, sure.
So I get where it's coming from, and there's that page where they're sitting around the headquarters, like the table, and Joker, just the way that Monkey draws him, and he's all contorted and has this creepy smile, like it's very unsettling.
Yeah, I've never had a problem with Joker hurting himself. Not so much that he does self-harm specifically in that traditional way, but I've always liked the idea of the Joker, like the Dark Knight, where he's cutting his own smile into his face, like stuff like that. Like I've always thought of Joker doing that kind of thing.
Did he? Or was it his dad? Right? Like that's. But the idea is you can believe either story, right? You can buy that he would put razor blades into his mouth and make himself smile. Just Monkey drawing. Sinestro again, it brought me back to Darkest Night or Blackest Night, like so felt good. His Grodd's a little bit weird. Like I feel like he's never drawn a gorilla before, which is a weird critique, but it looked kind of off at points. But I'm not gonna hold it back. But his Sinestro alone.
I think there are certain panels where his growth sticks out, like the one where he's holding the baby turtle.
Yeah.
It looks a bit strange there.
Yeah. No, that's generally pretty good though. Yeah.
Great.
It's really solid. Like I say, it's a bit wordy. Bit too much narration, but that's really my complaint.
I can't help but feel like this would work better as just a separate mini, as a companion piece, rather than these issues.
Yeah, but
let's see how the next one goes, because we get 4 more and then another one.
Yeah, because let's say each one relates to the arc that's going on at the same time. What do? Do you release like this mini-series, like, one every 4 months or whatever, one every 3 months?
Yeah, series of one-shots maybe.
Yeah, but that's basically what this is.
No, but I feel like a series of one-shots, you can do them slightly oversized, then maybe it wouldn't feel quite as wordy.
But Connor, I feel like you're contradicting your usual critique here, that I feel like you would normally be praising this because it's a natural way for the art team and stuff to keep on track with the double shipping, and what you're suggesting here would remove that benefit of it.
No, I get what you're saying. I think this partially it comes down to still I'm not liking the placement of the arc, the way it feel for me. I feel like I'm being an issue is being taken away from me, like from continuing the arc. I'm like, okay, we're on pause, we'll go explore this. Whereas I feel like this should be a side thing that's extra rather than instead.
See, I don't feel like it is on pause because I feel like they paced it out right, where it picked up off that cliffhanger, and then we saw what Luther was doing. Like, if let's say this is a TV series, this is a break.
Yeah.
But we don't see what Luther's doing. We see what Luther did, but we don't see what he's doing in Superman. He's still in the exact same place that we left him in the last issue. We didn't get any further on that stuff whatsoever.
You don't need to, though.
And that's fine.
Yeah. I get what Matt's saying, though. If this is a TV show and we end at that cliffhanger and then we use the next episode to go back and show how we got here, like, I see that done all the time, and it usually works quite well. But I think that's the thing. I don't feel like I'm seeing how we got here. Like, I don't feel like I'm getting how Luther was, why he's in Superman. It's specifically that episode that you're talking about is how did he get here now and why?
But I feel,
we've gone back
we'll get
further.
there.
Which is why I wouldn't like it at the end of the arc. So we've come full circle back to the original argument, but that's kind of where I'm at with it.
Two things. One, I love that Tynion's basically broken down Doom as objectivism, because it's all about just giving in to whatever you want to do, and whatever is good for you, that's what sets you free. And that's a political philosophy I vehemently disagree with. So I like that the bad guys that's what they subscribe to. And that's what creates this dark utopia, is that.
But it was pretty good. Don't get me wrong, I don't think I like it as much as the main issues, because obviously I'm liking the story that's going on and whatnot, but it was... I did appreciate Lex being proper mad scientist though. When he was doing the time travel stuff and he had a little bow tie on and stuff, it was really old school mad scientist Lex, and I was liking that.
Yeah.
Yes, it was, and I like that, and I like that he basically went and saw his Legion future, because that's what the Legion of Superheroes represented, was we're taking Superman's values and applying it to the future, and a million years from now, Lex Luthor's values end up with what caused that change. So I like the idea that Lex now has his own Legion of supervillains.
Hence why it's the Legion of Doom.
Right.
They've kind of justified that title in a weird roundabout way, by comparing it to Legion of Superheroes. Look at that, fascinating. All right, let's rate the issue then before we spiral again into this cross part 2 Electric Boogaloo. Matt, what are you giving the issue?
This is a solid 8.
Cool, Connor.
Yeah, I'll give it a 7.
Okay, it's an 8 from me. Fine placement. Best placement.